States Noxus minus the 14th of April, 2023. Kim has been tricky in the last 48 hours, and it's definitely working. The American Order of the Black Sun would mostly profit from the sale of heroin. They had a deal with the Chinese government. The U.S. military abruptly pulled out of Afghanistan in 2020 where the opium poppies grow, and then the Chinese and the Russians also had a deal in Afghanistan. The reason why they're pulling the poppy seeds off the market is because the Chinese, who run the opium trade around the world, can make painkillers much cheaper synthetically. So they told their partners to ban the sale of poppy seeds. They wanted all painkillers to go from being natural opioid-based to synthetically made, which is much more potent and so more addictive and dangerous. Fentanyl, the synthetic version of the pain-killing opioid, is very fast-acting, and then it leaves the body very quickly. So in only 6 to 8 hours later, the addict needs another fix. They go through withdrawals almost immediately. China have also made a deal with the CIA and the Order of the Black Sun in America for fentanyl to be distributed throughout the U.S., which costs pennies to produce and is sold for $30, $50, $100 a pill. For a fact, the whole 9/11 attack was orchestrated by the at the time Vice President Dick Cheney and Bush Sr. as members of the Order of the Black Sun. The people that were on the missing plane were taken into underground facilities in the cities that the elite used to own, where these prisoners worked as slaves or were experimented on. 9/11 single quote as a ritual day. But a lot of this is a distraction for what's really going on in the world right now, which is a global banking crisis. The elite are losing power. Zelensky was going to have a bust made of him in the Capitol building, and all of a sudden now he's been found stealing $400 million worth of U.S. aid. This comes as no surprise when the Chinese fail to continue to pay the U.S. and Ukraine are not getting any more weapons, and so the U.S. are going to go ahead and tear down Zelensky's reputation. Time to end the war in Ukraine, maybe? Yes. There are several people in the House who participate in war games. They are members of the Black Sun themselves. They were told 3 days ago that they're no longer going to send weapons to Ukraine, and they're going to divert them to Taiwan. How long will this last? Huge changes going on. We talked last report about some possible repercussions for the Chinese deep state and the UK deep state, which is where most of the problems are coming from. We talked about flooding the market with currency, and Kim's sorry to have done this to you, deep state, but we didn't. The deep state were preparing to scoop all that up. So what Kim did instead is she loaded up quadrillions worth of debt that the Chinese deep state and the government of China owes to the Alpha System Trust, and she started sending that information out to the Secret Service, which is the China's version of the CIA, and also to the People's Bank, which is the central bank of China, in rapid succession as she depleted the world of RMB. Their paper currency still exists, though it has no allocation number, so it cannot be banked. So China told all their trading partners, Brazil, Russia, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, that it was just a technical glitch. Well, the technical glitch continued on for more than 24 hours, so they're starting to realize that this is no technical glitch and that money's gone. There have been runs on banks in China. HSBC is in even bigger trouble than they were before and could very well be the first bank to fully fail, a major Tier 1 bank. But there is a solution. And that solution was given to the Chinese Secret Service before this event kicked off. The elite members of the Chinese are part of both orders, the Order of the Black Sun and the Order of the Dragon. There's no one on that level that's not part of those families. They cheat a lot in business, they steal patents, they do all kinds of things, they believe that they run and own the world. They've been traipsing all over Africa promising big investments, and then they build substandard infrastructure, and then when it starts leaking or falling apart, they walk away. The same thing with roads. They use Chinese prisoners to build infrastructure on the continent, so these are not skilled labor persons in that specific field. So there's no wonder that these things all fall apart and then they charge them, say, $8 billion for a $100 million piece of infrastructure, and then when the country can't pay, they take control of their in-ground resources. That happened several years ago in the US where they attempted to take control of the BLM and the US's resources because of debt allegedly that was owed to China, which is not in fact owed. This is just China's deep state trying to take money. This has been going on for the last 50-60 years, maybe longer. So Kim blesses them the same way they bless the world, and their currency will not come back at any time soon unless the deep state concedes or dies. She's okay with it either way. They're dropping like flies rapidly. They're also hurting other countries right now due to their issues, such as Vietnam. There's panic in Cambodia. There's panic in the Philippines, the whole Asian region that they've promised that would run the world as per that map divided into 7 regions. China promised them the world, so they started exchanging in RMB with all those different people, and then all the money just disappeared. It probably would have disappeared anyway, even if Kimberly did nothing, because of course they want everything for free. So even though they make nice putting deposits on production contracts and making deals on all kinds of produce and whatnot out of Brazil, they very rarely ever pay the full price. They wait till, like, say you made a deal to buy oranges, a massive amount, they're on a ship and they're traveling over to China and it's coming out of Brazil, for example. This is what a typical Chinese negotiation is like. So they'll wait till the ship just about hits the port in China, and then they'll renegotiate the price. Oftentimes paying about half of what they agreed to, if not less. This has been going on for decades. The Chinese are well known for this shady negotiating style, all around the world. So all of these sanctions that are being pushed are coming from the Office of Foreign Asset Control, and is of course sanctions against the US dollar. They can use any other currency they want, if they're not on the sanctions list. So the sanctions aren't really affecting everyday folk, they just use alternative currency to use. The sanctions are all about the Americans stealing on behalf of China. So most of the stolen money has been used to run operations just like the fake US Treasury note sales. For China everything must be discounted, heavily, because it's a game. It's a sport in China, amongst the elite. And eventually the Chinese populations will wake up and see what the elite has done to them. Taking the renminbi may not be the best thing for the people of China right now, but it's not as bad as what the Chinese deep state have been doing to them for decades. For instance, the Chinese free Wi-Fi is so they can send mind-controlling frequencies among the people and cause disease. The Chinese also release pathogens and viruses out into the general population that they've cooked up in their labs in order to reduce the population. They steal people's children if they think they've got too many. So if listeners think Kim is being cruel, first take a look at the people she's fighting against right now and seems cruel. The people of China are free to use any other currency they want in the world. The Chinese deep state simply do not need any help in continuing to try to crash the use. Why is the use so important? When Kimberly looks at what's going on in the world, she looks at it from a protection of the people point of view. All currencies in the world are backed by the use. Even though many countries are currently trading in their own currency, when it comes to the world as a whole, if the use burns, the world's economies will burn within days. And that is what Kimberly is trying to avoid. Devastation is not needed in order to move to a multipolar world. Even gold-backed currency still falls under the supply and demand production contracts. It's supported by production contracts and assets, and so when you're actually trading a dollar with another country, you're actually trading X% in gold. Usually the ratio is somewhere between 35 to 51. So that is the way it's going to go, but we're not going to slam on the brakes and turn the car around. When Kimberly told us that very few people actually care if China's currency was there or not, China still owes the alpha system around $7 quadrillion. So Kimberly has the right to take any money they have or any euro they have, any other currency, British pounds, anything that is tied to the Chinese government, the Black Sun, the elite. This is what a real sanction looks like, and this is what a real war looks like. We've been very, very successful in this technique because we sent the world into a full-on panic. OMG, the world takeover of China is not going to happen now. Even though they've been trying to crash the news, issue central bank digital currency, and bring in ID 2020 and attack the world with their H5N1 virus. But hey, what happened? Say the DS zombies. Promises have fallen flat everywhere. Israel is driven by the Khazarian mafia, whether it's Blue Dragon and the Rothschilds group or families, or it's the Golden Dragon in China. Israel does whatever those people say to do. Saudi Arabia was supposed to be the head of the Middle Eastern Currency Union. Remember, the world would be divided into 7 new currencies on the map that Kimberly had shown us. Saudi Arabia was going to be the head of the whole Gulf cooperation. So that's fallen apart now. What is the US's response to what happened? General Milley spent all day yesterday trying to convince the rest of the Joint Chiefs of Staff that the US needed to attack China immediately, because his lies were falling flat. He needed a distraction. It's the Americans' fault that we didn't get paid, that you didn't get paid, that the RMB, this was a hack, it came from the Americans, and Milley took those orders straight out of China. And the Joint Chiefs of Staff know for a fact now that Milley is taking orders straight from China, backed by powerful people like Zelensky, Ukraine, World Bank and the Blue Dragon. It's well known that the Order of the Dragon is the one that runs the World Bank. They immediately sprang into action after this happened and told everybody that they were going to fix it. They told China they were going to fix it. And then they started ordering the Federal Reserve to try again to install the central bank digital currency again. Over and over and over for the last 48 hours. We'll fix it, they said. No, they're not going to fix it. They're broken, like Kimberly said on the news on Wednesday. Kimberly always makes a promise good. She can do the exact same thing now to the UK, and Kim's not sad about it. She would be happy to take the UK's money out of their banks if the UK deep state do not stop. For the Rothschilds' part, they have also been submitting the bloodline of Solomon and a bunch of other stupid agreements, and then they try to cloak the agreements and send them into the Hall of Records, thinking Kimberly wouldn't be able to see them. Kimberly says they're probably sitting around a table somewhere wearing sunglasses too, thinking the Kims won't be able to find us now because we're cloaked. All of those agreements, of course, were rejected. Kim is not interested in doing business with these people in any way, shape or form, and they were underneath the Bank of England today in their special war room that they think they own and run. They're still probably there, but they're all probably dead. Kimberly's army is departing deep state people at a rapid rate. They have departures nearly every hour on the hour at this moment in time. So feel free to jump on one of the next departing flights, straight back to source. Kimberly doesn't mind. Because by staying alive they're holding all of humanity back and harming innocent humans every single day. They are placing orders to kill people in the Middle East constantly. All of them have violated natural law, so everybody's head is on the chopping block for all that they've done. For example, supplying weapons to Ukraine, starting war over there. How many Ukrainian people did they kill? How many Russians have they killed? They know exactly what they've done, and they cannot run and they cannot hide. And there's no cloaking that's going to help them because they're standing in the light now and their darkness doesn't cloak them anymore. Kim found out some interesting facts in the last 48 hours. She thought that the NSA always only worked for the families. Well, it turns out they've always been a member of both the Order of the Dragon and the Order of the Black Sun. But an interesting fact came to light while Kim was clearing out the NSA's quantum sky and foggy bottom and turbine programs. She and her team detected some strange anomalies in some of these programs. They were compatible with a true quantum computer system. Turns out these were quantum hacking tools provided to them coming from both the Chronos system and the Deka system. But they were ordered by Kim's predecessor, so it was Marduk that gave those quantum hacking tools to the NSA because they, perhaps unbeknownst to them, worked directly for Marduk. They were his eyes and ears amongst the people of the world, hence the Echelon program Snowden released about the monitoring of all the people. That was all for Marduk. He could literally run the world from his comfy chair, which apparently as a human you can too, but not in a destructive way. This is a week after Easter, commonly known as the octave of Easter. It's a special week after Easter, which they believe in some versions of Christianity, will be the week that Jesus the Savior comes again. The deep state also believes that this is the week that the Antichrist will come. Now this year is special, because it is approximately 2,000 years since the last time Jesus walked the earth. So the deep state is under the impression that the Antichrist is going to come back as well. So the DS have been looking for a chosen person that can handle the darkest of dark essence in their body to be inhabited by the Antichrist, so they can fight the Christ. The willing participant thought this was a great idea, because they'd love to be powerful and they would have the power to fight the office of the Guardian and the Christ and crystalline energy. There's way too much light on this earth for these people. And they can't get anything accomplished because of it. Kimberly says we're the GSD people and we, Kim's viewers, have to guess what that stands for. I think it means get stuff done. Over the weekend, the Antichrist, who was another fallen angel called Lucerne, son of Lucifer, will be dealt with by Kimberly and team. Kimberly says that nobody fallen is coming back this 2,000 years. All she has to offer anyone is plenty of crystalline energy. Disclaimer: these are the right